Hello and welcome to another video. This is going to be a reading vlog. I haven't filmed one in so long, at least that's how it feels like. Probably just has been 2 weeks or so. Right now it is January 23rd, which is basically the last week of January, and you know what that means. Well, I don't know if you know what that means. I know what that means. Anyways, I'm gonna be reading my January TBR. I'm gonna be trying to finish it. I did this sort of video for my November TBR and I had a lot of fun doing it, and I also got, I want to say 4 books out of my physical TBR, so I am really excited to be doing it again. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to read 4 books again because I am in the middle of exam season, but I'm gonna try my best. I have been trying to still do some reading while I'm studying because it helps me relax a bit. So I have 6 books on my January TBR. I have not read a single one of them. The first one, which is probably the one that I'm gonna be reading first, is My Mechanical Romance. I think that this is going to be really easy to read because it's very short, and I also think that I have the audiobook for it. I'm seeing mixed medias and I really like that. So this is probably going to be the book that I'm gonna pick up first. Then we have What If It's Us, The Road Trip, The Wingman, which is also a book that I really want to read. I don't know if I'm gonna read it in this video, but I do want to get to it. Then we have How to Fake It in Hollywood. This is also a book that I might pick up because I have had it on my physical DVR for so long. And then the last book is The Kingmaker by Kennedy Ryan. This is also a book that I really want to get to, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. So it does seem like a really quick read. We'll see. But I have also Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan on my physical TBR, and I kind of want to have only one book from an author that I have not read anything from. So I want to read this so I don't have 2 books from the same author. I don't know if that makes any sense. But yeah, so I'm gonna start with My Mechanical Romance. This is from the author of The Atlas 6. I have not read anything else from this author. But yeah, this is, I'm pretty sure that it's like a new adult sort of romance. I just finished My Mechanical Romance and I actually had a lot of fun with it. Halfway through the book, I decided that, you know what, I'm going to annotate it because it had some really nice quotes and some really cute scenes. So I literally went back to the beginning of the book, started it from the beginning so that I could annotate it. I did quite a few annotations and I actually had a lot of fun with it. It's very cute, and if I was younger, if I was still in high school, I think that this would be a really good book to pick up because it talks about not knowing what you want to do while you feel like everyone else has everything figured out. And I related to a female main character in a lot of things, and we also see her struggling as her parents have taken a divorce. So she's kind of like, I don't know, where do I fit in? Like, should I be on my mom's side or my dad's side? What should I do? And then at the same time we see our male main character kind of understanding that he doesn't need to be perfect, he doesn't need to do everything for everyone. And I think that it was really beautiful to see them also coming together and spending time together so naturally, ended up having feelings for each other. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It also reminded me a bit of Checkmate by Ali Hazelwood. Obviously that's like a chess book, this is a robotics book, so there's that difference, but the whole plot kind of reminded me of that, and the emotions that I got reminded me of Checkmate. I do prefer Checkmate, but I still think that this was a really good book, and I wish that I could have read it when I was in high school. I think that I would have probably given it 5 stars then. Now I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars, 4.5, something around there. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. Highly recommend this book. I think that it was really good. This makes me kind of excited to try the other books by this author. Another one that I really want to read, it is like the more fantasy, which is One for My Enemy. I think that has been very interesting to me, so I might read that book at some point. I know that this author has another book, The 12th Night, I think it's called, under this name, but I don't know if I'm gonna read that. Maybe eventually. For now, I don't really want to be buying a bunch of young adult books. I don't think that they are necessarily for me. I prefer adult books. I still might find some that I really like. For example, this one is definitely one that I really like, but I still think that I prefer adult books. So we're done with that, and that leaves us with 5 more books. I know that I don't want to read these 2, The Wingman and The Kingmaker. I'm not in the mood for them. So we have What If It's Us, The Road Trip, and How to Fake It in Hollywood. I actually thought that this was young adult. It's not. It's an adult romance, and it's a very chunky adult romance. I'm thinking that I'm gonna go into What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera because this is another young adult book, and it's the only other young adult book that I have on my TBR for the month. So I'm thinking, since the coming out of a young adult book, like reading and finishing a young adult book, I might as well pick up another one now that I'm in that mindset. And also this is a queer romance, like boy and boy. Actually, is this young adult? Wait. Yeah, okay, it is young adult. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go into this one. Hopefully I'm gonna finish it quickly because it is really thick. How many pages is it? 433 pages. That's a lot. But the text is really big, like the font is very big, and like there's not much in a page. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm thinking that it could actually be a quick read. The only thing is this is the first book in a series, so eventually I'm going to have to read the second one, which is Here's to Us. Does that mean that this one ends on a cliffhanger? I hope that that's not the case. I finished this and I don't know the rating that I'm gonna give it. I'm actually kind of iffy about it. I like the writing, I know that. It was very easy to read. I literally read it in one day, which is crazy to me. Like I said, the font is really big, so it's not as long as it seems, but I did have some issues with this book. First of all, one of our male main characters, for the majority of the book, is very hung up on his ex, and it makes sense because they literally broke up, I want to say like a couple of weeks ago, maybe days ago, probably more so like weeks ago. For example, the first date, I was so annoyed about it because he would literally compare our other male character, Arthur, to his ex. And he would be like, oh, but me and Hudson, which is his ex, would not do that. He would not do that and all of that. And I'm like, And he would constantly compare them. And that just didn't feel great for me. But throughout the book, I think that the authors did a good job with kind of fixing that whole plot. So I do think that it's a good book. I definitely want to read the second one. I think I'm gonna like it even more, but it had some things that again were kind of iffy for me, and I don't know how I feel about it. I think I'm leaning towards a 3.5, even though I really enjoyed it and I don't regret reading it. I actually had a lot of fun with it. There were some things that I was kind of iffy about. Now, that being said, I think that this did a great job of showing how being a teenager is. I think that the teenagers in this book were so realistic, and how they reacted, how they acted. I really liked how the two characters were not perfect. For example, at some point, Arthur says something about Ben not being Puerto Rican enough, something like that. And Ben is like, that's not something that you can say. Like, that's not right. And I really liked how Ben was like, no, that's not correct. But at the same time, he was like, I know that you didn't mean it in a bad way, but that's not right. So you should not say it again. And Arthur was actually, I'm sorry, I didn't know, I'm not gonna do it again. And I think that that was very good to see, and how they were not perfect, but they really cared about each other. I will say it was a tiny bit insta-lovey. They basically know each other for 2 weeks, I want to say. Again, just like the other book that I read, My Mechanical Romance, I think that if I was younger and still in high school, these books would be really, really good. They're very, very well written. I really enjoyed this book. I'm definitely going to be picking up the second book and reading it because I am curious to see how everything will come together. So yeah, that's the second book done. And now we have 4 more to choose from. These ones, I don't think that I'm gonna read them in this reading vlog because they are the newest additions on my TBR, my physical TBR. So I feel like I shouldn't pick them up yet. I feel like I should get through the books that I have had on my TBR for a really long time. And for example, this one, I think that I have had it on my TBR for 5 years, 6 years, and I'm really happy that I finally got through it. So I think the next one is going to be The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. Beth O'Leary is an author that has a lot of books, and I have actually only read The Flat Share, and I read it in the beginning of my reading journey, like 2020, around there. So I honestly don't remember that much about it. I think that I gave it around 4 stars, but back then, obviously, I had not read that many books, so I don't really know if that rating is actually correct. And I would actually like to reread it at some point and see how I feel about it, because it is a very popular book. But Beth O'Leary is also kind of popular author, definitely not the most popular author, but she is popular. So I have had this book for so long and I want to give it a chance and see. For the longest time I thought that this was young adult. It's not. It's an adult romance, and it's basically about kind of like a second chance romance. Basically it's about Addie and her sister, and they are on a road trip so they can go to this wedding in Scotland, which I feel like that's gonna be really fun. I haven't read something that is based in Europe in a bit, so I am actually quite happy about that. After a bit, the car slams into theirs and the driver ends up being Addie's ex. And there's also Dylan, which is Addie's ex's best friend. Yeah, they're going to the same wedding, so they end up kind of road tripping, all 4 of them together. We'll see how that's gonna go. Again, the font is really big, so I'm hoping that it's not gonna take me that long to read. It goes from then and now, so that's gonna be also fun. Past and present timelines. This is going to be my next read, and hopefully I'm gonna like it, because so far I think that we have had pretty good luck. 2 of the books that I have read have been really good books. So I'm hoping that this one is also going to be a really good book. This is so bad. I cannot understand how it's so bad. I am like halfway through, around page 250, and it's bad. It's not going well. The past and present timeline, I'm not liking that. I tolerate the present timeline and I hate the past timeline, but the majority of the book is actually the past timeline, and the chapters that are set on the past are way longer than the chapters that are set on the present, which is not great because I don't like the chapters that are set on the past. First of all, this is not a romance. I don't know why they would advertise it as a romance. Maybe like a very subplot of romance, but I would say that it's more so a character study kind of, and seeing the relationships between people and how you might think you know something but you don't, and then how people can get a bit toxic. So I don't know, it's not a romance, I know that. And also the subplot of romance, the minor subplot of romance is so insta-lovey. They literally knew each other 2 weeks, I think, and they fell in love. What do you mean? What is it happening? How can an author write that and be like, yeah, that makes sense? They did not have any serious conversations for the most part. They literally just slept together and then they were in love with each other. Yeah, okay. And also for the first second that she sees him and he sees her, they're like, whoa. Especially him. He's like, I need to sleep with her. I need to just bite her and stuff like that. And I was like, what is going on? I was cringing so hard. No, he's not a great guy. She's fine for now, but I'm just like, I cannot see these two characters together. And then at the same time, there are the side characters. We have Marcus, which is Dylan's best friend. Dylan is the guy, the ex, and Marcus feels like he's in love with Dylan. And to be honest, if he actually ends up being in love with Dylan, it would at least bring drama, and that might have been fun. But I don't think that that's gonna be the case. I want to keep staying in the present timeline, but it's just we keep going to the past, and the past is not very coherent. It doesn't really make that much sense together. This is messy, but not entertaining messy. Literally reading it is causing me pain. I want to DNF this so freaking bad, and if it was like a book on my Kindle or something, I would probably DNF it, but because I own the physical copy of it, I want to finish it, even though it's painful to be reading it. Like, there's so many parts of the book that I'm just, why are we doing this? What's the point? The things that are happening don't make any sense. I am so bored, and I don't understand the point of this book. I am halfway through, so maybe no, there's no chance of me actually starting to like this book. I don't see that happening. So far it's looking like a 2-star, which is not amazing. It's the first bad book of the video, which is sad. I was really hoping that we could get some really good ones. You can tell how much I dislike it because I literally went on Goodreads and removed the majority of Beth O'Leary's book off my want to read list. I finished The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary, and I think I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars. It definitely got a tiny bit better, but it is not a book that I would recommend. It is not a book that I really enjoyed. I think that it tried to do so many things, and that was kind of not good for it. I feel like it tried to do so many things and it ended up doing them not good necessarily. The writing was also not my cup of tea. I don't remember the writing being like that in the flat share. I don't know if it's just because our male main character here, he's a poet basically, which, you know, when some people say that, oh, I cannot stand singing in book when like one of the characters is a singer. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue when a character is a poet. I don't know, it's just especially in the first part of the book we got some of his poems, and I was cringing so hard. I mean, you do you, but it was not for me. So that obviously did not help. And after that, I think that the characters should not have ended up together. I get it. It's supposed to have like a happily ever after, but it did not fit with the book. For example, if I was in the place of our female main character, I would not be able to move past what happened. If I was in the place of our male main character, I would not be able to move past that. If I was in the place of the male main character's best friend, I wouldn't be able to get past that. Well, I mean, he did a lot of things wrong, so maybe I would be thankful. I don't know. It was just so messy and not in a good way. I did not like any of the main characters. I thought that I liked our female main character, but then she starts to do something that is questionable in my book, and something really, really bad ends up happening to her, which was not what I was expecting to happen. I feel like that was just thrown there. No, I don't understand that. I would also say check trigger warnings, because what actually happened to her was so crazy. I was literally jaw on the floor. It was heartbreaking. My heart broke a bit with what happened to her. We don't really sit on it for a long time, I would say, but I would say still check trigger warnings. But yeah, I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't really care about them. The only character that I cared was our female main character's sister. She was the only character that I cared. This book tried to be a romance, tried to be general fiction, tried to be like a character study, tried to be kind of like a mystery situation. And I was like, no, you should not be trying so hard. So I did not like it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna pick up anything else from Beth O'Leary. I might pick up the new release that she has coming out this year, I think, because it sounds really fun. I'm pretty sure that it's a failed one-night stand, which is a trope that I really enjoy. Yeah, because this book was also a second chance romance, which is a trope that I don't usually enjoy, for the sole reason that, in my opinion, if you broke up once, there was probably a good reason and you should not get back together with each other. Obviously, sometimes the reason actually makes sense for the two characters to get back together, but with this book, I guess it kind of made sense, but I think the characters was just, they were not compatible with each other. So yeah, those are my thoughts for this book. And now for what I'm thinking it's going to be our last book, our fourth and final book of this video, is How to Fake It in Hollywood by Eva Wilder. This book came out in 2022, and it got so much hype. Everyone was loving it, and I picked it up, tried to read it, and I think that it was in third person, so I didn't end up continuing with it. Also, my book, the first couple of pages, they are not very attached to the book. I don't know if you can see, so I'm hoping that it's not going to fall apart. I don't know who Lily Vale is, but I'm guessing it's an author. But she has a blurb at the back that says, "The banter and sexual tension between Gray and Ethan is fire emoji immaculate." I love banter and I love tension, so I'm hoping that that's actually going to be the case, and I'm going to really enjoy this book, because the road trip was not it. I literally stayed up so late last night reading this book because I could not put it down. It's so good. It's so fast-paced. I love the characters. I don't know, it's just the whole thing is so well done. And this is a debut novel, which is crazy to me because this is giving 5-star potential. If it keeps being this good, it might actually be a 5-star read, and that's crazy to me. I am loving this so much. At the beginning, I wasn't sure that I was going to like our male main character because he smokes, which I hate smoking, so that was kind of like a nick for me. But as you learn about him, you see, first of all, that he doesn't smoke that much, and also we see why he smokes. He's trying to deal with his pain with wrong substances, let's say. It's so good to see him changing, like doing small changes because of a female main character without even realizing it. I think that it's so well written, it's so easy to read, and like I said, it is in third person, but I don't really understand that. I think maybe I understood it for the first couple of pages, but after, I don't really care about it. It doesn't really affect me, I will say, because it doesn't say when it switches POVs. For example, it doesn't say when you're in Gray's POV or where you are in Ethan's POV, which is something that I don't love necessarily, but to be honest, after you read the first sentence, you can understand whose person's point of view you are in. I would say that that's probably the only negative thing. I cannot wait to read more. Today I was supposed to be studying for my exams in 2 days. Yeah, that's gonna go a bit later on. I'm gonna try and finish this because I want to read it so bad. I want to see what happens. We are halfway through the book and I feel like we still have not seen so many things. Ethan is a single parent and I'm really curious to see how our female main character Gray is going to meet his kids. This is such a good fake dating book and I think that I need to read more fake dating set in Hollywood. You get the fake dating part because obviously they're supposed to be taking pictures together and they're supposed to be seen together, and it makes more sense than having them fake date for like a family member or something like that. For example, they're supposed to be seen together going into the restaurant, but when they're in the restaurant you see them talking normally, and then also she's supposed to be seen going into his house and staying the night, but while she's staying there in the morning and everything, they are themselves. It's kind of like the fake dating here really acts as a forced proximity kind of thing, because in order to be believable they need to be seen together, so that's like forced proximity, and I'm having so much fun with it. I think that it's so good. It's done so well. At first I was kind of like iffy about some things, I wasn't sure about them, but once you go into the book, for example smoking, I wasn't sure about that, but once you go through the book you really see that it's not that bad. You understand the reasoning and everything. I cannot wait to read more. At the part that I am right now, they're basically in this vacation and they're starting to spend some time together. The little scenes together that you see them kind of bonding, spending time together, laughing with each other, it's so cute and wholesome, but at the same time you know that he's struggling. You see him slowly changing, and I love how she doesn't let him do whatever he wants. For example, at some point he showed up to a public event and he was drunk. He didn't seem like it, but she was like, you stink of alcohol, and she was pissed at him like she should. Like she wasn't like, okay, it's fine, it's okay. No, she was like, that's unacceptable, you should not be doing that. And I love that about her. She doesn't put up with his shit, and that is amazing. I love to see it. So that's I guess what I had to say. I'm gonna continue reading. I'm hoping that I'm gonna finish today, but I might actually finish it tomorrow because like I said, I do have an exam to study for. I cannot wait to read the second book of this author. It's already out. I think that it's called Will They or Won't They. I went on Instagram because she hasn't released anything since 2023 and she hasn't announced anything. She did take like a break for a year or two, I think, and she came back in December of 2024 and she's like, yeah, I am writing something that's coming out fall 2025, and I cannot wait to see what that will be because this might be a new favorite author.
The streets been talking. You heard that someone's walking, but you're here, I've got your hand in mine, and I know this isn't easy, but I see the way you...
Guess what? I finished the book and it's not going to be a 5-star like I told you that it might be. I had some issues with it. I really loved the writing and I'm definitely planning on reading more books from this author, but I had some issues with it. First of all, our male main character, he's supposed to be a single dad. His wife is still in the picture, like they're supposed to be co-parenting, but I feel like we didn't really see his kids being talked about that much. It kind of feels like it was thrown in there for the sake of him being a father, which I wish that we could have seen some more things. And I would say that that was my biggest issue with it. I definitely had some other, for example, at the end of it, I feel like she kind of forgave him very easily. I would have loved to see him try a bit more, like groveling maybe. We didn't really see that. I mean, no, we definitely did not, but I really enjoyed the writing. I think that it was a very well written book. I loved how the whole him being addicted was dealt. I think that it was done in a really good way. So I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. I really liked it. I would highly recommend it. I think that it was a really good book and I'm so happy that I finally read it. I definitely will be picking up the other book that this author has. I'm gonna keep an eye out for any new releases from this author too, because this one for a debut novel was phenomenal. This was so good. So yeah, that's the last book of this reading vlog. So I read 4 out of these 6 books in this video. The first book that I started with was My Mechanical Romance by Alexine Farrell-Fulmuth. I really enjoyed this. It's a young adult, very short book and it was so enjoyable. I gave this 4.25. Would highly recommend it, especially if you love young adult books. I think that if I was really in love with young adult books, books, this could have been a 5-star read. Then we moved on to What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. This is the first book in a duology, and I also really love this. What is going on? This is also young adult, and I also loved it. Maybe I like young adult. I don't know what's happening, but I ended up giving this 3.5. I'm still not sure. I might give it like 3.75 or something, but it's around there. I really enjoyed this book. I think that the second book is going to be even better, and I really want to read that too. But yeah, again, would really recommend this. The font is really big, so you get through it pretty fast. And then the disappointment of this video was The Road Trip by Bethel Levy. I did not like this book. I gave it 2.5 stars. Not for me. I didn't like the writing. It felt kind of standoffish, but I don't know, especially the chapters that were in our male main character's point of view. Maybe because he was a poet, they were more flowery, maybe. I don't know, they were trying too hard, I think. And that's not something that I like, because I could not relate to him. I was like, why are you talking like that? And also, I did not like the past chapters, and this book is mostly past chapters, so obviously you can see why I didn't really love this. And then the last book, like I said, is How to Fake It in Hollywood by Eva Wilder. This is going to be like a 4-star, maybe 4.25 actually, thinking about it. Really love this book. Cannot believe that I had this sitting on my physical TBR for 2 years. That's crazy to me, because this was so good and it's right up my alley. It had some really good reads. The majority of them were pretty good. I mean, only one of them was a dud, which is amazing. And I'm so happy to finally have these books out of my physical TBR, because I feel like every single one of them, I have owned them for so long, for years now at this point. So it feels amazing to be able to put them on my bookshelf with the rest of the books that I have read. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope that you liked it, and I hope that I will see you in my next one. Bye!
You give me butterflies when you smile, and it feels so good.